kale, onion, and garlic. Today I'm gonna make a dish that is mostly from kale. It's a crustless pie or quiche, whatever you want to call it. This morning I harvested some kale from my garden. This is 10 leaves of kale that I'm gonna chop up. I also harvest some lettuce. I'm just gonna throw that in there because it's just about to wilt. I pulled a bunch of onions that are basically were too old now. We had too much rain lately, so these I had to pull. I couldn't wait for the harvest, the regular harvest. And I did find a couple of garlics left. I did have my garlic harvest a few weeks ago and they already been braided and dried, but these are freshly out of the ground and I'm gonna use them up today. Obviously I'm not gonna use all this onion today. I'm gonna use these two smallest one in this recipe. So that's my vegetable out of the garden. The other ingredients that we're gonna need is 4 eggs, cheeses. Any kind of cheese would be good. I like to use some sliced cheese for the bottom of this casserole dish, and I do like to use shredded cheese on the top of it. As far as flavoring, it's going to be mostly salt and pepper, since I'm using garlic as well, but you could use paprika for this as well, and any other spices that you feel like putting into this. So let's begin. I already washed my kale and I washed my onions too. Obviously they were dirty. And my garlic. So the first thing I'm gonna do is put some oil in the pan and cut up the onions. That will go in first. These are tiny onions, but we will do. I'm just roughly chopping. The main thing for this dish is that you saute it first, all the vegetables, and then you're gonna bake it with the eggs and the cheese. That's it. Again, I pulled these onions early because we were just getting too much rain and they were about to rot in the ground. So some of this needs to be disposed. So behind the camera I do have a pot. It's a frying pan. And I'm gonna put in about 2 tablespoons of oil and start dropping in the onion. And I have it high just so it can heat up first while I am preparing the garlic. Kind of hard to deal with fresh garlic because you don't have the paper dried out on the cloves, so it's sort of like peeling tiny onions for each clove. Unless you grew your own garlic, you would never see this in the store. Because what you buy in the store is already dried, cured, right? So yeah, this is like just peeling an onion, each clove. Okay, here's one. These are tiny. They were hiding under some cabbage. So, the thing about garlic is that if you grew garlic in an area and you thought you pulled out everything, it could have been some leftover little pieces that actually grow up again the next year. And you wouldn't even know it until they have grown. You only need a little piece, almost like just a little skin. It can grow a new garlic. People don't know that always. That's the same with potatoes too. You leave a little piece and it's going to grow back. So now that my onion is starting to saute, and I have my garlic sort of peeled. Do that later. What you want to do is just saute your onions for a couple of minutes. This to me is almost actually good. Because remember, we're going to still saute the kale as well. So back to chopping. So if you've never done kale before, all you do is just pull down on the stalk. And if you have a tougher stalk, you may have to pull out this big vein and then you chop. Easy peasy, huh? It's pretty easy. So I'm gonna cut them just bite-sized pieces. They're gonna wilt a little bit anyway. I just don't like the tough veins. I'm just gonna kind of mix it up in this pan. You cannot see it, but I don't want the onion to be on the bottom. It's kind of tossing it like that, so nothing gets burned. Okay, at this point, I won't put the garlic in because now I can attempt it. Okay, optional. I just want to use up a little lettuce that otherwise I would not eat. This just adds to the mouth. Alright, mix it up nicely. And now I'm going to put a little bit of salt. Be careful because sometimes it's easy to oversalt these things. They will wilt in volume, it's going to be much less. I can smell the garlic roasting, so that's good. And I will turn it down to low. So this is where we are. It's really not that much anymore, right? I would say half the size that it was fresh. cover it so it can steam and saute at the same time. Alright, let's see how it's doing. Now we're at the point where we can start preheating the oven, 350. And this will be probably sauteed enough by the time the oven is preheated. It's possible that you may have to put a little bit of water in this to make it less sauteed and more steamed, really. We sure don't want to burn it, so I'm going to just put a little bit of, a couple of tablespoons of filtered water in it. Just like that. I will also put some black pepper. And if you like it spicy, you may want to put a little bit of hot pepper flakes. I like this Korean or Chinese, whatever this is. It's just spicy enough so it's not like going to burn you. And just put a little bit, a pinch. And you can throw other things in there if you want, as far as flavoring. The other thing I like to put in, anything that's green like spinach and kale, a little bit of nutmeg, and then grate in some, I don't know, a quarter of a teaspoon, just a few dashes like that. That's all you need. Alright, so I'm gonna turn it up a little bit just so it can keep cooking. Okay, so that's gonna be another 10 minutes maybe. In the meantime, what we could do is crack the eggs. I'm gonna use 4 eggs. And some people put in cream or milk and things like that. I just do eggs. A little salt into the egg as well. And beat the eggs. Just to give you an idea, this is not going to be a tall quiche or a tall pie. And by the way, if you want, you can use a pie crust underneath and make it into a real pie, but it's going to be a crustless for me. It's not going to be tall that you can serve to 4 people, for example. This is going to be a two people, 2 serving flat pie, if you will. It's good for breakfast, brunch, dinner, lunch, anytime. And you can throw in anything in here actually. If you have any leftover vegetables, for example, you can throw all them in here. You can even put cabbages in here. Believe it or not, you can put cucumbers. You can put shredded carrots, broccoli, anything you can think about and you like. And again, leftovers, I would not put in, for example, celery, because that's too salty and liquidy, and I just don't like celery. So anything you want. You can also put in some parsley, some basil from your garden. Make it taste different every time you make it. It doesn't always have to be the same. If you want, you can oil your pie pan. I like to use glass because it's less sticky. But since I'm going to put cheese on the bottom, I really don't have to. But again, if you want to, just to show you, a little bit of teaspoon oil. Use your hand. Just spread it, right? It's kind of easy. And then, as I said, I like to use the sliced cheese on the bottom. That's going to be the crust. Make sure these are still good cheeses, no mold on it. Kind of old, so. And it's okay if your cheese actually goes up on the side. Kind of line it. That's done. Just wanted to do one. I don't know about you, but when it says pull here, it never works. I guess because my hands are slippery and weak. So this is jack cheese. And yeah, I could put it up on the side, but what I'm going to do really is just aim for the bottom in this case. Just like that. You can overlap a little bit. That's my crust. The other thing you can do for this kind of pies, if you have any pepperoni that you want to put in there, or some leftover taco meat, I mean, you can just put anything in here. That's why it's good to do quiches, because you kind of have the solid ingredients and then eggs and cheese. That's a quiche. Let's turn it down a little bit. Give this a mix. A little bit of water in this again. Again, just a couple of tablespoons. Just so it can steam a little more until the oven is ready. In the meantime, while we're waiting for the oven, I like to use a sheet pan under my pie pan, just in case it overflows. It's not gonna in this case, but better to be safe. So the oven is preheated. I can shut off my stove top. Take your vegetables, spread it into the pie pan. Okay. Pour on the eggs. Try to do it evenly. Okay, as you see, it doesn't fill up the pie pan. It's gonna puff up a little bit, but it's not gonna be tall as a pie. There's another handful of leftover cheese. Actually, so good. I'm just gonna spread that. And you know what? I'm not gonna need the additional mozzarella cheese that I set out. This will be plenty. So what was this, like a half a cup of shredded cheese? On the bottom I have 4 slices. On the top I have a half a cup of shredded cheese. And if you have any Parmesan cheese, that will be a good addition to this. Also, sometimes I beat in some cream cheese with the egg. That makes it really nice and smooth and creamy as well. So there are some variations to this recipe. Put away the cheese, we don't need that. And then we'll cover this with foil. I'm gonna bake it for half an hour on 350. Get the cover on. And then take it off, take out the foil, and bake it another 10 minutes or so. Depends how brown you like the cheese on top, right? Set the timer to half an hour, and we'll be back. While we're waiting for the kale pie to bake, we're gonna have a little tea. This is also homemade. It's chamomile flowers that I dehydrated last year, and I still have some left. And I have this little gadget that I picked up in London that allows you to steep your chamomile or any tea. So a big teaspoon of chamomile, and my microwave is broken, so I need to boil water on the stove. So this goes into the cup. I already added stevia into my cup. Here goes the boiling water. And I'm gonna leave this in here for like 3 minutes, and then I'm gonna squeeze almost a half of a lemon. So it's gonna be like 4 or 5 big squeezes of lemon juice, and the key to this is freshly squeezed. That's the best for you. Look it up, just Google it. So the timer went off. It's been cooking for 30 minutes. So if you need to double check to make sure your eggs are cooked, just lift up your foil, stick a knife in it, and you can tell it's not jiggly. So the eggs are cooked. So now I'm gonna take off the foil put it back a little bit because I like mine crusty on the top. And we'll set the timer to 10 minutes. Okay, time is up. It's been cooking for 10 minutes without the cover. Ooh, it's hot. Looks pretty good. So now we're just gonna have to wait for it to cool off a little. Nice and crusty on the edges. And the cheese is kind of set. It's hard to see, but it's nice and browning on the top. So I could probably cut this now, but it would be running all over the place. The cheese is still not set, so I'm gonna wait for 10 minutes, cut it and show you. So now it cooled a little bit, so I'm gonna try to cut into it. I'm just gonna go around the side, make sure it doesn't stick. Right, and cut this into 4 pieces, but again it's gonna be probably just 2 servings anyway. I was thinking probably you could call this a frittata as well. The other thing I was thinking that some people may not want to have the cheese on it when it's baking under the foil. You could leave the top layer of cheese off, bake it that way, and then the last 10 minutes put the cheese on and bake it that way with the cheese on it. So I kind of like the cheese melting into the body of the pie, so just gonna cook this up now. Is it still hot? Not really. So here we go. There we go. That's what that looks like. As I said, it's just a thin quiche, pretty thin, right? That's what a serving looks like. Okay, enjoy. See you next time.